I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions. I find joy in believing that the true measure of the strength.
I need policies that work. I don't care about joy. Joy don't pay for gas. Joy don't pay for rent. Joy don't pay for my car note. Joy don't pay for my phone. Joy don't pay for nothing. I need policies. 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 Your Vice President, Kamala Harris, has been coming out of the woodwork. She not only did a CNN interview with Dana Bash. You remember that one where she got softball questions and, everything was shaped nicely for her. She also went on a debate that we saw where she may have gotten help from her earrings, as one has been saying on the internet. She's been coming out. She did another interview in Philadelphia. And if you remember, about 2 months ago, she was invited to, along with President Trump, to the, Black Journalist Broadcasting. You remember the one where President Trump said to the woman, "What a nasty way to introduce somebody. What a nasty question." Maybe I'll drop a short. So yes. So this time, Kamala Harris came. And the reception was very, very different. This was a long interview for Kamala Harris. I believe that this was about 40 minutes or so, 45 maybe, almost 50 minutes long. And so I wanted to cover this, but there are different questions, multiple pieces of this that I wanted to talk about. And after going through the video, I found that this angle is what I wanted to talk about, touch base on. And we're going to talk about two clippings, two questions from one of these reporters. It's the lady. I'll have to find out her name and everything because I think she did really, really well in framing her questions, and she pushed back gently on old Kamala Harris. She pushed back just a little, and Kamala, brought out her sister soldier. I'm talking here. That whole setup. But I'm going to say kudos to this reporter because she did push back gently. So without further ado, we're going to respond to two questions that she proposed to Kamala Harris. One of them is about guns, and then the other one is about the war with Israel and Gaza. So without further ado, let's respond to this.
A quick question. I want to talk to you about gun control. So you've said you support an assault weapons ban and universal background checks. And we actually learned during the debate that you are a gun owner. But in cities like Philadelphia, handguns are responsible for most homicides and violent crime. The most recent FBI data shows handguns were involved in 59% of murders in our country. How will you address the issue of the use of handguns? Because a push for an assault weapons ban only addresses a significant but small part of the problem.
Before Kamala jumps in. So if you watch this channel, I cover guns a lot. We talk a lot about Chicago, and I've been interviewed in reference to guns in my own community where there is a lot of shootings happening. So this is something I've covered. And I stand by the notion that the guns are not the ones killing people, but it is indeed the people holding the guns and shooting the people. And I love the way she frames her question, that because they're always coming, oh, these AR-15s, the AR-15s and the AR-15s, and we're gonna come for your guns because these weapons is mass, and they're killing people by the dozen. And she says, yeah, but 59% of the homicides that happens, according to I think it's FBI or wherever it is, 59%, that's nearly 60% of that happens with handguns, not assault weapons, right? So let us hear Kamala go into her answering in reference to this. And don't forget, friends, she and Tim Walz, they own guns too. Friend, are you stressed out about the gun violence happening in your community? If you live in a city, Chicago, Orlando, New York, any of these blue liberal cities where guns violence is out of control, where the gangs have taken over, where they're shooting people left, right, and center. If you are stressed out, then I hear your pain. I hear your cry, because I myself have been a person who lived in some of these cities. So what I've done is I burn candles. I burn candles to ease my stress. So you can do the same. You can pick it up at orlandopatriot.com, burn some candles to relieve the stress that you're facing in your community with gun violence. 30% off, orlandopatriot.com.
So, first of all, yes, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz is a gun owner, and we're not trying to take anybody's guns away from them. But we do need an assault weapons ban. Assault weapons are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly and have no place, I'm going to get to it.
Yes.
And have no place on the streets of a civil society. We need universal background checks, which, to your point about handguns, is about saying that it is just reasonable to want reasonable gun safety laws that say we should do background checks that we ought to know. It's just reasonable. You might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon. If they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully, we do understand that.
But you're asking about...
I'm asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't purchased in places. Yes.
Apply to handguns.
Hold the presses, friends. You saw that, right? This beautiful young lady pushed back gently, and she says, with all due respect, that's not what I asked you. I asked you point blank, a specific. That's not what I asked you. You want to go word salad on us? You want to ring around the rosy, go around the questions? You want to tango and dance with this question? But that's not what we're asking. Madam, can you please answer my question? Because what you're saying here is not what I've asked. And I'm going to need you to answer me. Man, I kind of want to hear that again. Let's do that again, because man, that was sweet. Let's do that again.
To themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully, we do understand that.
But you're asking about...
I'm asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't purchased in places. Yes.
Apply to handguns.
Yes.
They do.
But in many instances, those handguns aren't even bought lawfully. Yes.
I didn't stop it. Her face just now was like, where's she going with this? When we rehearsed, this was not a part of the questions. Where are you going with this? Why are you pushing back? Like, that was the look on her face.
Which is why I also have been very adamant for years. In fact, I myself protested at a gun show probably 10, 15 years ago about the gun show loophole and why we need to close that. Because...
Hold the presses. This woman, okay, so obviously people are not just getting guns at gun shows, right? So she went from this to gun shows. So how she used to protest at gun shows. This is a market. This is the way people are able to purchase what they need. There are no loopholes because you got to show ID. You got to purchase proper. You got to purchase it proper. You don't just go to a gun show and they just give you a gun. No, you need to have all your stuff in place. I We live in Florida. We always at the gun show. We always at the gun show.
What ends up happening is at gun shows at flea markets, gun dealers are not, under existing law in the past, required to register their sales. And so you are exactly right that a lot of homicides, for example, a good number of them, I don't have the statistic in front of my mind.
She just told you 59% of them. 59%. She done told you that. She told you 59%. She done told you.
Are committed with illegally purchased guns. And that's why we need to address each entry point in the issue, including universal background checks, closing the gun show loophole, and what we need to do as a general matter to focus not only on reaction to crime, but prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention, what we need to do around crime deterrence. But listen, I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have held the hands of mothers who have come to me crying, who have said, I only want to talk to Kamala, because they knew when they sat down, I would treat them with the dignity and respect that they were entitled and due about the loss of their child, often their son, to gun violence and the need to take it seriously. And we must take it seriously in every way, understanding it's not just about a soundbite. It's about a comprehensive approach that deals with the tragedy of, to your point, everyday gun violence in America. It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that for the most part has gone undiagnosed and untreated. The trauma that exists in communities around the violence of losing their children, losing a brother, losing a father, an uncle. All of that must be addressed, and we have to have a holistic response to it.
Things we haven't thought about yet, because every time we bring up this issue of gun violence, universal background checks comes up and a ban on assault weapons. Are there other solutions that you're also thinking about that will get at this issue?
Absolutely.
Before she goes on, so I'm telling you, this girl is good. She's asking some good questions there. She's asking some good questions. So, absolutely. So, what are you going to do? Are we going to have harsher punishments for people who are found with weapons? What are you going to do? Those people who are stealing weapons, those people who are, I don't know, making it themselves, those people who are doing these things and they're found with these weapons, are you going to be putting them behind bars, locking them up and throwing away the key if they have murdered somebody with these weapons? Are you going to hold the criminals accountable? Are you going to lock up criminals the way you lock them up for smoking weed, right? The way you lock them up from puff, puff, puff when you puff, puff, puff yourself. Are you gonna lock up these people who are killing people? Those sons and daughters you talked about. Actually, she talked a lot about sons and uncles and cousins and daddies, you know, and cutting them. All those men and boys you talked about that's getting murdered in Chicago every single weekend, that's getting killed across this country every single day because these people possess these weapons. Are you going to put laws into place? Or we already have laws on the books. It's just a matter of following through with the law, following through with these things. Are you going to make sure that the law enforcement are able to arrest, prosecute, lock up these people for these crimes that they're doing? Are we going to make it easier when we know that these are the gangs in the community committing these crimes and killing these people? Are we going to go after them? Are we going to put the FBI on alert? Just like the FBI currently is right now is in Springfield, Ohio, having their setup there. So if the migrants are being, mishandled, the FBI is there to deal with it. How are you putting people, the FBI, in these areas like Chicago to be ready to take down these people who are killing people? Like, what exactly are you going to be doing, Madam Vice President? Let's hear her go.
Absolutely. For example, part of what we did as vice president with the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools, right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this that is about treating the trauma and dealing with it at its source before it ends up manifesting itself in a problem. There is the work that we need to do that is about putting resources into communities around violence prevention. I've been a big advocate of that for years, which includes what we need to do around putting resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President.
Hold on. So nowhere in there did she say we're gonna enforce our laws. If you commit a crime, you're gonna do the time. Nope. We're gonna sing Kumbaya. We're gonna get counselors, and we're gonna talk to them about their mental issues, and we're gonna talk to them about, what happened to them when they were a baby. We're going to talk to them about maybe, I don't know what kind of drama it was that, did this to them, but we're going to make sure we're going to put systems in place to make sure that it's prevented. We're going to put counselors on the ground, and we're going to put units together on the ground, and we're going to just kumbaya it all the way until they stop shooting people and until they stop killing each other. We're just gonna kumbaya it all the way. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna kumbaya it all the way. We've come to the end of this clipping, and so I shall remove it from the stage. Seen that, heard that, good. I didn't know Kamala Harris was a poet. I had no idea that she knew how to write poetry so lovely with so much joy. Friend, if you enjoyed that segment, then watch the full episode right here.